Would you read what he's put in there?
Family. Next person is Cameron.
Said the people who were affected by the findings of the 215 children remains in Kamloops.
Thank you. Who's next? Oh, I am.
Oh, after me is you, miss.
I'd like to pray for David and Kimberly. EJ.
I said future success, Nathan. Nathan Doc.
Nathan.
Miss, I'm here. I'm praying for my family.
Okay. Who's after you? Daniel says, hi, miss. I would not be able to join the class today because I have to go to oh, you have to go to the doctor's. Well, that's important. Okay.
What is after me, miss? What?
Who's after you? Venusian was after you. He's having trouble with his mic. Lance, miss, can I leave early? I have an appointment today.
Daniel Wood.
Wow. Okay. So it looks like we really need this minute of silence. There's something going on today with the technology. Everything's sort of, I don't know. We need to just calm down. So let's have a minute of silence. We'll pray for all of you. For those of you who have to go for the vaccine, for people who are praying for whatever your intentions were, let's just have a minute. Every part of this earth is sacred. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing and humming insect is holy. The rocky crest, the juices of the meadow, the beasts, and all the people, all belong to the same family. Teach your children that the earth is our mother. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the children of the earth. The water's murmur is the voice of our Father's Father. We are part of the earth, and the earth is part of us. The rivers are our brothers. They quench our thirst. The perfumed flowers are our sisters. The air is precious, for all of us share the same breath. The wind that gave our grandparents breath also receives their last sigh. The wind gave our children the spirit of life. This we know, the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. This we know, all things are connected. Our God is the same God whose compassion is equal for all. For we did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. Let us give thanks for the web and the circle that connects us. Thanks be to God, the God of all. So now, while I take your attendance, I need you guys to put 5 things that you're grateful for into the chat line. Oh, I see Kimberly's there. Okay, good. Hi, Kimberly. I'm just going to take their attendance. I know you're still settling in. Okay, so for what 5 things are you grateful today? Okay, so just put that into the list. And then while you're doing that, I will do your attendance. So today is Monday, June 14th. You guys are cohort CD. This is the 1 afternoon class. Okay, and just tell me if you're here when I do the attendance, because I have to send this in to Ms. Combargi. So Daniel, are you here, Daniel? Daniel's the one who had to go get his, is Daniel the one who put his hi miss on and won't be able to join class today? Okay, so Daniel's gone to the doctor, so I have to mark him absent anyway. Daniel Adedomola. All right. Kwamina, are you here, Kwamina? Kwamina is not here. Kwamina Basie is not here. Gian, are you here, Gian? Gian Barrera is not here.
Miss Kwamna typed in the chat. He said he's here.
Oh, thank you. Gian, wait a minute. So who just typed in the chat and said they were here?
Kwamna.
Kwamina, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so Kwamina is here. I'm marking you here, Kwamina, but Gian is not here. Thanks for your help. Jesse.
Here, miss.
Good. Nathan Black. Nathan.
I'm here, miss. I'm here.
Okay, you need to, be on the mark here. Okay, Amelia.
Here.
Good. Julius. Are you here, Julius?
I'm here.
Okay. Leanne.
Here, miss.
And Anthony Marini.
I'm here, miss.
Awesome. Christian Pinello.
I'm here, miss.
Good. Jonas Ruaro.
I'm here, miss.
Venusian Sayakumar. Is Venusian here? Venusian, I see your name on the screen, but I can't hear you.
He
Yes.
typed it in the chat, yeah.
Okay,
Miss,
good.
you think I can, miss, can I leave for like 5 minutes? I went for a run. I'm beside the school. I didn't
Yeah,
notice the
yeah,
time.
you go. Do what you
Thank
gotta
you.
do.
I appreciate
All
it
right.
so much, miss. I'm so excited.
Okay.
Bye.
Oh, me too.
Yes.
Joseph Torres.
I'm here, miss.
Joseph Torres is here. Okay, so far
Yeah.
in cohort C, I'm missing Daniel. I'm missing Gian. Well, that's all so far. Okay. So in cohort B, so this is A, B. Yvette, are you here, Yvette?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Lance, are you here, Lance? Tanea.
I'm here.
Elijah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ryan.
Here, miss.
Denise.
Yeah.
David Opadere.
Here.
Jasmine.
Here.
EJ.
Here, miss.
Cameron Walsh.
Here, miss.
And Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel, are you here? Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put in the chat line that absent are Daniel Adedomola. Who else is missing? I'm also missing. Kwamina is here. Gian Barrera. I think that's it. I think everybody else is here. And it looks like we've got 3 minutes till showtime. I have to send in the attendance, and I can see that some people from the other class have signed in. Let me just send in the attendance so nobody from the office is bugging me for attendance. Okay, so attendance, I'm sending it in. I'm going to paste this, and I'm sending the attendance to Elaine and Imelda and to Patricia. And I've only got 2 absences. Woo, I think we're done. All right, so I'm sending that in. Missing subject. Okay, attendance. Attendance NBE 3C1AB. Starting to sound like I speak in code. Okay, here's our link. Okay, so our link is working. I'm closing the email link. I'm closing that link. I've got that open. Okay. We've got 2 minutes before we start. The only people missing are Daniel and Gian. And I know that we have to do the land acknowledgement. I know that some of my students from my class this morning wanted to read the land acknowledgement. But part of me thinks we should just follow David and Kimberly's lead. David and Kimberly, I need to know from you. So this morning, showtime is in 1 minute. So we practiced the land acknowledgement this morning. And we've prayed for the 215 children. And we've prayed with my classes for the missing and murdered women. What's the best way to start I don't know, how do we start? Like, now your microphone's not on. I need to hear you. Can't hear you. Turn on your microphone, turn on your microphone. I still can't hear you. Okay.
Howdy.
I can hear you now.
Check, check, 1, 2. So we thought we would start off today with a really special Mohawk song for the babies.
Oh, good.
So we were just going to sing it, and we're going to get everybody to just think of all of those children, and we're going to sing a song. It's actually for the song is written by Bear Fox of the Akwesasne Women Singers.
Wow.
And she taught me some of this music. So David and I would like to sing that by opening that today for the babies.
Thank you. Well, let's all keep them in mind. I'm going to turn off my microphone now, and I will just follow your lead.
Okay. So sego, sewa gwego, sewa da hunsadad, ongwe su. Hello, we're at peace. We're saying hello to everyone, welcoming you. We are so happy, Wagatsanuni, to be with you today. And we want to do this beautiful song written by Bear Fox. I got a chance to learn some of the language, and David is going to help me with the drumming. And it's called The Babies, for the grandbabies and the babies. And we're just doing a quick smudge to to clear our senses and to become as one, Ngwatni Gura, Atonio Duhak Ne Ngwatni Gura, so that we can become our minds as one for the babies.
Yo.
Hey. Yo, hi-yo, ho, hey, hi-yo. Yo, hi-yo, ho, hey, hi-yo, ho, hey, yo, hi-yo, ho, hey, yo, ya, ho, how-ya, Sangwaya di so dakadanya de ona iyo e asatunde nyawa di so he o wira aji nawe ongana rompwa be yo hello we hayo yo hello yo, yo, oh, we're aji nawe ongolong guardi. Sada deli wakwenyasta, ona iyo sata hida seli wakwenyasta. Tenis na unja. Yo yo we yo 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 we yo 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 we oh we're aji nawe ongono longwagi. Good night, little ones. That was for the babies. So, and with that, I would say we're all have our minds as one and coming from a beautiful place in our hearts. And that we're all thankful for everything that Sangwaya Diesel Gasastasura Goasa Oryera, the one that has created all things natural and placed upon this earth to provide us sustenance. Tell them what you're wearing.
So I'm wearing something very close to my heart right now. It's the booties from my baby, and I'm pretty happy to have my baby now growing up into being a man and going through life, and we've been able to teach him the things that we know. And my son is a part of the Longhouse, and he helps to put through the ceremonies the best we know. We put through our thunder ceremonies, our Sweetwater ceremonies, our four direction ceremonies, our seasonal ceremonies. So it's important for us to be thankful at all times. So going through this little hiccup in life right now with what's happened is having our people start over and rethink things again, you know, and our elders coming back out and having to address these things. It's hard on our people and it's hard on the minds, and PTSD is kicking in with many people that have had to go through this. And I think the discussion today could be on how we could move forward and celebrate our lives in a way that would help to justify some of our people's pain and sorrow that they're going through, and for Canada to be a little bit more sensitive on our behalf right now, because there is a lot of people suffering and living on the territory on these reserves. It's I can only imagine what each reserve is going through with all the stories, and we have circles now, healing circles, where people just want to go in and talk and be involved with positive energy and words, and ones that never had those aunties and uncles to be able to go to. We're just having to all become these aunties and uncles now for the children that had to go through these atrocities. So I want to open up discussion and let you guys teach me as the youth and the leaders coming up of this country. I can just imagine that you guys will have a lot to discuss and to talk about, because I don't know your hearts and your minds, but
we got the letters.
We got the
we
letters.
read your letters,
beautiful.
And it was beautiful. Thank you.
Beautiful. Nyao Goa for those letters. It really touched my heart to hear the response from the last time we spoke, and it's beautiful. Ganarumkwa. Love medicine to all of you.
And so we talked to your teacher, which again, I am going to say, we got to watch her last slides, and I'm just getting emotional watching it.
That's okay. You know, my mother always said tears are holy, and we are facing these horrible atrocities, and if we didn't cry, it wouldn't be normal.
Yeah. So watching you put this together for your students, Oka crisis, and watching Wanique Horn, and that remembering what she suffered, and David and his father were there trying to deliver food to the people in Oka because they were trying to starve them while they were under siege from the military, because they didn't want that golf course to go forward. And so that was very real trauma. And I absolutely understand. We've had our own trauma here in Tyendinaga, standing up for clean water for our children in schools to drink clean water instead of bottled water for years. So we stood on the tracks to say no more. We want clean, fresh water to drink out of our taps too, like all other children in all of Canada. And we went and stood for those rights. And when you do that, you always will come up against the negativity, other people being mean, racism, and the Oka crisis was probably one of the worst times to actually bring forward to attention. Now they're also seeing what's happening with finding these residential schools, these children. And it's only the tip of the iceberg, unfortunately. And so we were just asked by a media outlet today, just before this wrap up, how are we going to go forward with Canada Day? And I said, well, most Indigenous people don't celebrate it. Number one, we are asked to be parts of the celebration to try and educate people why we don't celebrate Canada Day.
And getting a call from the media today, it really made me feel that our voices are important to be heard, because for them to reach out and want to do something and not do something at the same time, is they said their hands are tied. And I said, it's important because there's a lot of people coming into this country from all other countries of the world, because Canada opens the doors to just let people into this country. And if they don't know what they're getting into, and to know, like when we see foreigners here celebrating Canada Day and them not to know the truth, it hurts us even more to see, the black people, the yellow people, all the people of the world here, when they get their status as a Canadian and they have no knowledge of what's happened in the past, because it's not taught, and it's not something that Canada wants to talk about. But it's so important that you guys are wanting to do this. You guys are touching my heart, because you really want to do this, because my dad was a part of this. And he was beaten every day just for speaking his language, in school. And I had the same teacher, like I told you earlier, that taught me, that actually hurt my father. And my dad was in a residential school in Brantford, and he got out of there, but he was put in these holes for just speaking his language. And I think people need to know that. So they approached and asked what I would do. I have to put some really big thought into this, because I don't want to be a big bummer, and because there's a lot of great people in this country, and we just need to educate them and give them wings to fly, and be proud and change today for tomorrow, because we look to 7 generations to make sure they have exactly the things that they need to sustain life, and the beauty and the chance they have to show who they are in life. Just like you guys want that chance to show who you are and who you are going to be and what you are going to turn out to be. And this is what we need to instill in everybody in this country, because Canada is one of the greatest countries in the world because of its freedom, and and our Indigenous people gave up a lot so everybody could have that freedom and to share. We're all about sharing. And let me recite a poem for you guys, so you guys can think about this. Kim, just give me a little drum beat. And I just want you to think about this poem. I write a lot of poetry and a lot of spiritual poetry, but this one here, I recited this poem. I was asked to play at the opening of the Grand Hall in the Museum of Civilization, and it was packed. There was no more seats, and they asked me to come out on stage and do some music and do some things. I said I'd like to recite a poem, and honestly, there was a lot of wet eyes there in the auditorium. So I just want to recite this for you guys and let it sink in, and you can take from this what you want. But I want you to think back to the beginning, when our people lived on this land and how they enjoyed the land. So it goes like this. Kim, give me a little heartbeat. A long time ago, there was velvet grounds and feathered skies. I see a flint-tipped arrow pass me by. I see a baby on a mother's back. I see a red man with a treasured pack. Speaking winds and caressing waves, will guide the hearts of the Indigenous brave. Come back, my love. Come back, my love. There's deer, there's bear, there's towering moose, all here to give us food and clothes. But wait, evil comes, and with them they bring loaded guns. They branded us all savage beasts. As we invited them to come and feast, we shook each other's hands, not knowing of any evil plans. We fought with strength, no fear was known, with women and children by our side. Much blood was shed, and mothers cried. We tried to hold to our traditions, our lives now caught in intermission. Peace, peace has faded throughout these lands. Greed has now the upper hand. So that poem I did in front of elders and dignitaries at the Museum of Civilization. Canada Day is an Indigenous day of mourning. This is in the newspaper right now.
Sally just sent that.
This is Sally. This is amazing. I can't wait to read this article.
So why, you know what? I think, why don't we just, it's really short. I'm going to share it on the screen so the kids can see it.
Okay.
And you know what? Just because it's probably faster, I'll read it out loud so everyone can hear it.
Absolutely. That's perfect.
Okay. And I'm leaving the chat line open. Ladies and gentlemen, put your thoughts into the chat line as I read this out loud so that we can all digest. I got this out of the newspaper on, I think it was on Sunday. Yes, it was on Sunday. And I know I'm sharing my screen. Sorry. Sometimes I'm faster on this thing than others.
You are so fast.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to breathe deeply.
Yeah, you know what? I know everyone on the chat line should really understand that your teacher is incredible. And the knowledge that she is dispersing to all of you is priceless. And it's amazing.
Miss, you said to put our ancestry in the chat line.
Yeah,
I don't know much about mine.
You don't know about yours?
Well, I met my aunt, uncle, and cousin.
Yes.
My grandpa and grandma, my mom's side of the family.
Yes.
And I've been to my country.
What's your country?
Ghana.
Oh. Well, that's really interesting. Put that. I want you to be proud of that. Do you speak any other languages?
Nope. Because I only been there once when I was like 14.
All right. So, yeah, put it into the chat line. Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking for, I thought that my photograph of this article shared, but it didn't. So I'm going to have to share it a different way. So I'm going to share it. Okay, I'm downloading it now. It should be working. Save, download, and then I will open it. All right, this should work this time. I'm coming back to the meet. And now if I share this, can you guys tell me if I share this? Stop presenting. Okay, I'm presenting. Tell me, do you see it? Oh, it's not working. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so I'm going to have to read it off of my phone then.
Yeah, because we have it.
We have it.
So you read it to everybody, and we'll just
follow
go over the notes later on. It sounds interesting.
Okay, and now I've lost my screen. I'm really having trouble with this today. Okay.
I've got so much stuff to talk about with you guys. It's just
we don't have enough time.
I'm enjoying the ears and the eyes today, and just having our minds together on this. It's really important, and
Yes.
I love you guys. I just want to stress that you guys are taking the time to do this with us.
Well, we love you too.
This is very historical that you guys are a part of this right now.
Right. Okay, so mine is a little bit caught off. It says Canada Day is an Indigenous day of mourning. Canada Day celebrates an anniversary of Confederation on July 1st. but this is cut off. I'm really having trouble today. Why will it not?
You want to read it, Kim?
I can read it.
Okay, yours is, why don't you know what? I think I found a way. Okay, let me try one more time and then we'll take turns. Canada Day is an Indigenous day of mourning. This is by Stephen Paquette. It's from the Toronto Star and it came out yesterday.
Wow.
Canada Day celebrates the anniversary of Confederation on July 1st, 1867. Leading up to this day, I would ask you to please pause and think about what that means to the original people of this land you call home, the Indigenous people of Turtle Island. It formalized the process of colonization that started with the arrival of the European settlers and their doctrine of discovery. The racial, oppressive, discriminatory acts put into law through the Indian Act of 1876 that presumed control over the First Nations and are still in effect today. Canada is a nation created on the lands of the First Nations. We were not consulted on this grand scheme, nor did we give our consent. Somehow we went from sharing the land and resources to being subjects. Canada is a nation born out of treaties with the original people of this land. Yet our traditional forms of governance, the clan system, clan grandmothers, hereditary chiefs were dismissed. And where did this get the First Nations who welcomed the settlers and were willing to share the land and resources? That was in your poem when you started.
Yeah.
It got them the reserve system, which controlled freedom of movement, and the Indian agent who controlled almost every aspect of their lives. It got them the Indian pass system, the residential schools, forced sterilization, medical experiments, the 60s scoop, intergenerational trauma, and the consistent underfunding of anything to do with First Nations to this day. And we've been talking about water. The children in your school can't drink their water.
No, they couldn't.
Horrendous. Then it says in red, I do apologize if you experience discomfort in reading this. Consider the discomfort of those children who died all alone. Well, there's that song to the babies that you just sang us.
It says I do not apologize.
I do not apologize.
Oh, I do not apologize. Oh, did I read that wrong? If
No,
I did,
no,
I'm so
you
sorry.
didn't. You said it right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is uncomfortable. It got them the bodies of 215 nations' children, some only 3 years old, buried without any acknowledgement or dignity. In most cases, their parents were not even told the truth. They were simply told that their children ran away. The pain and anguish that those parents had to experience for the rest of their lives, not knowing. The truth of the matter is that this was not an isolated incident. This was a common practice. Why? Because Indigenous lives did not matter. They were not seen as human. They were seen as less than human. I do not apologize if you experience discomfort in reading this. I ask you to consider the discomfort of those children who died all alone. I ask you to consider the lifetime of pain and anguish that their parents and families went through. This is what Canada Day represents to Indigenous people.
Yeah.
How can Canada Day be a time to celebrate? It's a time of mourning for Indigenous people. Please consider this leading up to Canada Day. Stephen Paquette is a member of the Ojibwe Anishinaabe Nation. So we have to think about Canada Day's coming up in about 10 days.
Yeah. So I'd always get calls to go perform for Canada Day, and price was no object. So to me, they needed puppets to go so they could token Indians to just go on these big stages and have a big smile and act like nothing was wrong to justify the actions that happened long ago that we would just consider it swept under the rug and it's all good. We've all fit together, but we still live in the world of deceit and lies. And it's just unfortunate that they won't step up, and I think this is a day to actually celebrate the findings of what's happened, to open up that discussion to say, you know what, this is a chance. This is a chance to do it over again and do it right this time.
Wear,
All these
wear
treaties.
orange.
Wear orange. We have a two-row wampum treaty. All the treaties that have been broken, the two-row wampum was a big one. You know, and do you know the two-row wampum?
Tell them again. They heard about it from Wob Canoe. We looked at his video, but tell them again. Show them the two. Tell them the story with the two lines.
Well, the two lines and the two-row means the indigenous vessel, the canoe, and our watercrafts going alongside the ships without crossing over each other's or imposing laws upon one another, but traveling in harmony down through the lakes and streams and oceans and rivers, and doing trade and commerce together and being as equal and, you know, on the land and enjoying what Mother Earth provides for us all to sustain our life. And this is in our prayer. This is why we did away with the Lord's Prayer and the other things. It just in our Mohawk schools that I know, I don't know about the other schools, but I know it's going right across the country where they just want to do the Thanksgiving address, being thankful for all the beautiful things that Creator's provided, all the natural elements, the water, the things that sustain our life, the things that give us pleasure in life, those things that are the natural world. We give thanks for all those things. And I think giving in this mural that you're doing and in your talks, you should consider showing more of the natural world and how we're thankful for what happened, you know.
Putting baby moccasins, or even making a nice teddy bear with a nice orange shirt that with the number 215 on it in part of your mural. Even that would be something amazing. And an eagle feather, and of course our, you know, the Confederacy flag, our Haudenosaunee Confederacy flag with the tree of peace. I think we have that. I'll grab it.
I think the tree of peace would be a really big one to actually have there, showing how our roots have always stretched out to other nations to come and live in harmony and peace, you know, and have that symbol of that one that carries our prayers to the Creator, the eagle, on top of that, you know.
What do they think? What do they think that other Canadians should do?
Yeah, and I want to hear your opinion on what you guys think. I think this will be great to be able to go back on the news when they call us and say, we've had discussions with you guys. You know, the children is the ones that the young people are going to be the ones that lead the way in this country, you know, and they're the ones that want the change, because nobody wants to live in a tainted past and live through lies and stuff and deception. We want to get over that and move forward in a good, positive way, in truth and light and positivity. It's like we all have to.
I don't think the truth and reconciliation can actually be even looked at for those children, and then go ahead and celebrate Canada.
Does anybody have ideas out there how we could push this forward in something beautiful to let people know that Canada Day really isn't a day of celebration for us, and we need to know how to move forward. And people are contacting us, and they want to pick our brains to feel out what we think should happen. So I'd like to know. I'd like to get some ideas.
So here's my suggestion. Ladies and gentlemen, are you still here and listening? I'm looking at the chat line, and I've been writing things in the chat line, but I'm not seeing much from you guys. So at 1:10, I said, our class has many people from other countries. Put your ancestry into the chat line. The only person who did was Yvette. And then yeah, good for Yvette. Yvette, those are participation marks. Zero. You don't show up in the chat line, I'm going to give you 0. I'm going to print this out and highlight it. Okay. And then I said, you were talking about how you were used for these Canada Day celebrations. And you felt used being put on the stage. And I said, that's propaganda. And we looked at the words in O Canada. And these students have read an article about a girl named Maracle who wouldn't stand for O Canada. We've talked about this. So now, I mean, what you don't know about me is before I went into teaching, I sang professionally. And I used to have to sing O Canada, and I can't do it anymore. O Canada, our home on Native land is how I think of it now. But then even the next line, I choke over it.
There's an artist out there.
What's the next line?
True patriot love. in
So
all our
there's,
sons' command. Well, that's, misogyny and patriarchy. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the kids. So let's make sure they've read this. So look at, Yvette's the only one who's shown up. And then I said at 1:24, I was taking notes. You said, for our mural, the 2-row wampum, 2 cultures traveling in harmony, not interfering with the other. Then I wrote down what Kimberly said, the orange shirts on little teddy bears, the Iroquois flag, the tree of peace, the roots stretch out to other nations from the central tree of peace. And then I said, is anybody there? Well, there's that song from Iskway. Nobody knows where we've been, where we've go. And then Classified said, can anybody out there hear me? Is anybody listening? I need to hear your voices. So, Leanne, are you there?
Yes, miss.
Who's after you?
Commoner.
Kwamina? I don't think his microphone works. Venusian. Oh, finally somebody's saying something. Thank you, Cameron. Cameron, you're going to get participation marks. And so far, you and Yvette are the only ones giving us feedback. So Yvette is getting participation marks. And Cameron, would you read to us what you put in the chat line, please?
Sure, miss. I said we're going to reverse celebration. So instead of celebrating Canada Day, and what people typically would celebrate on that specific day, maybe celebrate awareness or try and raise more awareness towards Indigenous peoples or something like that, right? That way it could kind of maybe like eventually equal out, and maybe in the future Canada Day won't just be celebrated like leaving that part out. It could include that, right? It could work that way, work its way up into adding that portion of what happened, right? If that makes sense.
What do you think of that, David? A reverse celebration. So, Cameron, so the thing is, how old is Canada? Canada's what, 150 something years old?
152 years, I think.
152 years. And we know that the first people have been here for, 10, 15,000 years, a little bit longer.
So I'm going to tell you how this works. Canada Day is that they throw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars at fireworks and the food trucks and the hats and the whistles and all these different things, and they hire bands and they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring in the bands. So there's the money that they're spending on this to brainwash people into making them believe that this is, it is a great country, but there's also a great big ugly past,
A big secret.
And I think once that is exposed and we get this into the Canadian history books, which a lot of it is, I think we can move forward. And then when Indigenous Day comes up, there's no funding.
There's nothing.
And nobody really celebrates Indigenous Day with us.
No.
And we get a few people, maybe a couple carloads will drive in from the city to have a buffalo burger or something, and that's about it. And we don't have all the funding to have like the big lights for our kids and all these things, because where would we get the money to do this? We live on these little territories, and we have to rely on what happened in the past and these agreements. And, there's so, I don't want to get too off track here, but the pits and the quarries where they mine gold and silver and diamonds and all these things, our people, they come into the lands and they have tailings ponds, which pollutes the waters and stuff, and and our people are constantly fighting over this, and there's so much that we want to be thankful for, of the newcomers and trying to get along and everything. But when they celebrate Canada in such a big fancy way and with the and leave us out, it's really hard, so I don't know.
They have to come up with some ideas.
We have to come up with some ideas, and I'm looking for you
how
guys.
Could we, because we've been asked, how can, like a city like Belleville, how can they incorporate us in Canada Day in a tasteful manner? How to be able to acknowledge the Indigenous people and those 215 plus children. That's what we've been asked. What would be feasible?
Okay, so after Cameron, I'm still looking for your ideas, you guys. Kwame said my microphone won't work. Hey, welcome to my world. Trying to get them to talk on here. Leanne, read to us what you said. Go ahead.
So I was just I agree with what Cameron said, and adding on to that, we can use the social media to use it positively to spread their awareness. So people are more like, they get the idea about the Indigenous people.
So what have you seen on, I think social media is a really good idea. What have you seen on social media? Can you guys start putting that in the chat line?
Yeah, I will. Just give me a second.
Okay, can you tell us? I'll tell you what I've seen. Can you describe it first?
So far, I've basically seen a lot about the residential schools and how people are finding more Indigenous people buried. Like I heard today, they found 100 more people. So in total, that's gonna be 315 children found in Indigenous school, and it was like pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
So is there a way you could put that out on social media to show that the young people are listening? Have you tweeted that out? Have you found a way?
I'm trying to educate myself more before I post.
Yeah.
My notes.
Yeah, there's so much we don't know. Well, the one that I'm sharing, I'm an old lady, so I use Facebook. What do you guys use? So I've got on my Facebook page, I found something from Idle No More, and it's a big orange screen that says 215, and then the quote above it, it says, "Make the churches pay for the searches."
Oh,
wow.
I thought that was powerful.
I think it is too.
Yeah, make the churches pay for the searches, of course.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So these are the kind of things that, we're talking about social media and we're talking about a mural, and you're saying, oh, I need to know more, but sometimes a picture paints 1,000 words. Maybe just on here's my question, and you guys can all answer this. What social media platforms do you use? Okay, so I want to see everybody put in there what you use. Okay, so we're now on, so who else? That was Leanne. Leanne, you're getting participation marks. So this is a way to take action.
MySpace, Twitter, I feel is the most effective that use. Cameron, right on.
Okay, yeah.
Instagram.
So, you know what I'd like to see this treated as too, guys, is more of a homicide, and I'd like to see this treated more as a, were they saying the other day?
It's not like it's a crime scene. A
crime scene,
crimes against humanity. There's already a group of lawyers that are going to take the Canadian government and the churches to task. 100%, because there's still nuns today that have journals that they've kept, secret journals, and they're not willing to hand them over. Why do they want them? Well, they'd have to tell me why I'd want them, one of them said. Well, they should be handed over as part of a crime scene.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's a real parallel. Think about the Diary of Anne Frank. How is this any different?
That's right. That's absolutely
It's called
right.
a Canadian Holocaust. I'm sorry.
Absolutely it is.
That's where we are at.
Yes.
We shouldn't have to apologize for the way we're talking right now. It should be looking for solutions and how to deal with this
It's a very
issue.
heavy subject. I'm so sorry.
I watch W5 a lot, where they go and investigate homicides and murders and stuff, and they always find their people. I mean, that's all we want. With all the billions of dollars that's out there, just find the people that
did it. They carried it out.
That carried it out and put them.
And look who's holding the billions of dollars. We've got the Catholic Church, that is one of the most wealthy institutions in the world.
Yeah.
All the roads lead to Rome, and we've got the Canadian government. And these are the institutions that you know, you saw the emails that I sent back to Mr. Pio. Like, I cannot be quiet about this. And I think maybe the most important thing I can do as a teacher is to help my students find their voice. And so far, we've heard from Yvette and Cameron and Leanne. And look, I've got, okay, so Yvette said, celebrate Canada Day in your own way. So what do you mean by that, Yvette? I'm just reading it out of the chat line.
What I mean is by celebrating Canada Day your way, like do your own version of Canada Day.
Okay, so I guess my question for you is, will you be hanging the Canadian flag on Canada Day this year? Will you be wearing a Canadian flag, or are you going to do something else? Are you going to wear orange and maybe put up something with the number 215? How are you going to celebrate, Yvette?
For Canada Day, if all the malls are open, I was just gonna do some shopping and like wear whatever I want to.
Okay, well, you'll be in a public place. Do you have an orange t-shirt?
Yeah.
Could you wear orange while you're shopping?
Yeah.
Could you tell people why you're wearing orange while you're there?
Oh, well, they really don't ask, because like I just go into the store, check out what I want, pay for it, and then just leave.
Is that enough?
I think everybody knows what the orange is signifying now,
I
because
think
orange
they
is
do.
not the most prettiest color in your coordinates.
I have
when you
so
wear
much orange. I love orange. Even my car is orange.
Orange. Men don't wear orange, but when you see people wearing orange, people
You know
know
what it is.
immediately. Orange Day. And that's coming in October, I believe, Orange Day.
Orange Shirt Day, yes. And I
Orange
heard
Shirt
that we're going to have a National Day of Mourning on September 30th. Is that it?
Oh, is
Are
it
they gonna do a
September?
new holiday?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Cameron, I want to hear your voice. Go ahead, Cameron. Look, I'm giving Cameron even more participation marks now. Cameron, go ahead.
Could you repeat that, Miss? My headphones just died and I was transitioning between my headset.
You're on the chat line at 134. Would you please
Oh, that part, yeah.
read that? Yeah.
So I said back to the part where David mentioned the funding and the government spending money on bands, etc. Would you prefer if they hired, for example, David to perform, or would you want to see more funding towards, like you said, Indigenous Day?
I think I'd like to see more funding put towards Indigenous Day,
Yes.
and to really make it a professional gathering where the cities will actually allow our people to go through the cities and have people join in there. Because I mean, when you're on these little territories trying to do something, and we have to call in for clean water and different things to bring in.
Mm-hmm. They already reached out to us for Canada 150, and David has never ever performed or taken part in anything for Canada Day, but that year he wanted to have a voice on Parliament Hill, and he had his way that day because everybody was out and about, and he got to put together a whole production of Indigenous awareness on Canada 150 and had his say. Even though he did that, people were still questioning why, they put everything in the paper and questioning people and questioning all the Indigenous artists. It was terrible. And I don't think we'd ever do that again. Never.
And then you get a lot of our people, a lot of the kids would ask me, and I would get the kids would approach me and say, why are you out there celebrating
Canada Day?
Why are you playing for them? So, I mean, it tears us apart too. And the kids, they want to have fun with their friends and have beaver tails, and
they want to
and
have
drinks
fun
and have fun,
watch some fireworks,
and bands playing. It's like our kids,
they're torn apart.
We're torn. And it really still, that affects our kids too, because they can't join in with their friends. Because a lot of our
who are
people,
non-Indigenous that are
I
celebrating.
never thought of that. That
and all
must
the
be really hard.
non-Indigenous children are going out and having fun, and all of our Indigenous children, sometimes they won't go, or they will go and they feel guilty. It's very terrible.
And it's a huge conflict because once they get out there, and if our kids are not standing for the national anthem or the flags or whatever, then they get persecuted by the public and they get in trouble. Like I was told just at a game, you know what, you need to stand with the rest of the people. You're very dishonorable to sit there with your hat on and not stand with everybody. I said, I have reasons. I'm sorry, I have reasons. And my father told me that not to stand. And
he was given a note.
I was given a note to take to school that I didn't have to stand and recite anything that had to do with the Queen and stuff. You know, so my heart was torn, and I always felt centered out. And I have what do you call that? PTSD from that, you know, just the schools and trauma just from that alone has really hurt me, like to know that, you know, should I stand, should I not stand? And I can just imagine what the kids, because when we sit there and people are looking at us sideways, like, you ignorant person, you know, you're not standing for this. And it's like, why would I stand for something that hurt my father and hurt the kids that I know, you know? It's
well, and if I can make a connection, some of you students researched people like Pega Magabo, or who was the sharpshooter? Tommy Prince. And they went away to the wars and fought for Canada and came home in their uniforms all decorated, and then they were treated like dirt because they were Indigenous and they weren't recognized at all, and they died in poverty. Like they had to sell their medals in order to buy food. I mean, it's shameful. How can we celebrate a genocide? It's
shame on Canada.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, we're just starting to catch on. We're seeing these statues start to come down. I mean, it's not like, who would want to go to Germany and see a statue of Hitler, being honored?
This is exactly what I think people, that's why they hated seeing those statues. People in Picton, they're like, my child is Indigenous. She walks by the statue and she's like, Mommy, do you think that man would have wanted to kill me? And she's just little. So it's still fear-provoking, right?
And children are afraid to go to school if they're Indigenous, knowing that there's dead children being found now. I mean, there's so many layers of it. Oh, good. We're starting to get some things here. All right. So somebody I forgot to put the code in for the other class. Somebody put it up there. Thank you. All right, Ziv, you've been wanting to speak. Go ahead, Ziv. You put something in at 142. Go ahead.
To be fair, I think Canada Day should remain at the same date, while Indigenous Day will be the day after, because if we change the date for the Canada Day, that I would say that it wouldn't make sense, because the day of the Confederation Day was basically taken to that day. So in order to honor the Indigenous people, we should, celebrate the Indigenous Day the day after the day of the Confederation that was taken during the colonial times. So I would say that in order to reconcile between the Indigenous people as well as the native inhabitants in Canada, we should celebrate both, in my opinion.
So my question for you is,
thank you for that.
John A. Macdonald was, you know who John A. Macdonald is, right? He's our first who's John A. Macdonald? Pardon?
First Prime Minister of Canada.
Yeah, and we've talked about, what did he do to Louis Riel?
He ordered for his persecution because of false allegation against him, which he...
Well, okay, he had him killed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ziv, who created the Indian Act and the residential school?
It was him.
It was him. It was him. And we just found 215 dead children. We've found at least 100 more. Do you think that John A. Macdonald deserves a party after killing Louis Riel and having so many traumatized families over 7 generations going to residential schools. Do you think he deserves a party on Canada Day?
I would say he's like Hitler to me, and
would you go to a party for Hitler?
I strongly oppose him for running, Miss.
This is tough. This is tough stuff. So Ziv, you gotta really think about what are we really talking about here? Should Canada Day, I mean, I'm Canadian. I'm struggling with this. What I loved about what Juanique Horn-Miller said in her video was, why can't we have a country that everybody can be proud of?
That's right.
We all need to be proud of Canada. Now, you guys know that I have just like a little bit of Indigenous blood, and it's really important to hear Indigenous voices in this course. We've only been here for 152 years. You cannot compare 152 years to 15,000 years and throw a party for the people that stole the land. But anyway,
that's true. I think personally, I'd like to see Canada Day just done away with, get rid of it, and have just Indigenous Day, where the people that came over, where the Indigenous people treated them to medicines and food and land and prosperity, and
call that Ganada Day,
and call that Ganada Day, the village, the time of the village, the celebration in the village. You know, when newcomers came, we should try to pick out the best parts of what happened and the good things that transpired back in the day, and try to uplift that. Do away with Canada Day. Like, people,
they're never going to.
I don't think we'll ever get over this, ever, to see a Canada Day, a celebration ever again. And I think the more I'm talking to you guys and listening now, I'm like, because it's so tough. It shouldn't be tough to celebrate something, and it's tough. So why would you want to celebrate something that you have to work hard and you have to walk on rice paper to make it happen? Yeah. You know, you should be able to celebrate things wholeheartedly and be excited for that day to show up. None of us are excited for that day. It's a day of mourning.
It is.
And we should turn, instead of having a day of mourning, let's turn it into a day of Indigenous Day. Do away with Canada Day. And I think the group of us could move on that and pass something and get petitions signed and really move forward with Canada to do something on our behalf and show that you're willing to spank the ones that need to be spanked and move forward. Because, I mean, there's a medicine that our people use a long time ago. It's going to sound harsh to you guys, but we used to have this medicine, and it was called the medicine stick, and it was called the red willow whip. And all you had to do is get tapped on the bum once with that thing, and then it was hung on the wall. And
you had to pick one.
And the kids had to go out and pick one and bring it home. And it was a medicine stick. And there was no punching in the face or kicking or yelling. It was just one of those little hits on the bum. And I mean, I think people needed that, you know, because when that was hung up on the wall and all father would have to do is just look up at the stick, you going, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there again, you know.
And he had to pick his own stick.
And all of my brothers had to pick their own stick, and it was their medicine stick.
Right.
That they would remember. And, you know, and if we don't spank these ones for, you know,
symbolically,
you know, and I think we just need to do away with it. And that's what I'm going to say on the media.
Well, there you go. So it's becoming more clear as you talk. We need to discuss this. Okay.
We do.
So after Sid, Cameron,
I want to hear what the kids have to say.
Read to us.
I know what he has to say.
You know what I have to
He's
say.
very passionate, but I want to hear what the children have to say.
Go ahead, Cameron. Cameron, at 1:44. Go ahead.
Yep. So I said, according to Statistics Canada, the Canadian government spent $500 million on the Canada 150 celebration. What portion of that would you like to see go towards the celebration of Indigenous Day?
Half.
Woo! Oh, Cameron, I'm giving you bonus marks for that. That was
That's awesome,
good. Oh
Cameron.
yeah. Ah, snaps for Cameron. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Cameron gets a free
Yes,
David
whoop,
Maracle CD, so I'm gonna send it.
Whoop, whoop.
Cameron,
Cameron
can you
gets a CD.
Cameron, do you have Twitter? What do you
Pardon
have?
me? I have Twitter and Instagram and
Oh, put it on
yeah.
Instagram.
Can you
David's on
put that on
Instagram.
there and put it in orange?
David's on Instagram under DR Maracle or David R Maracle.
Oh, he could put it on your page too.
Yeah, see, share it to David's page.
Okay, I'm going to put this on. I'm looking at the time. It's 1:54. Okay, so I'm going to say we'll do a little. Make sure that we do a social media assignment. But
That's great idea.
Cameron, what's your background?
Pardon?
What's your background, Cameron?
I just know that my grandparents lived in Newfoundland.
Ooh,
Newfoundland.
that's wonderful.
Wow.
I really couldn't tell you anything further than that. That's all I really know.
Oh, it's so beautiful there. I went to Newfoundland to save the puffins a few years ago.
Oh, they had the Beothics there. That was the first Indigenous people, the Beothics and the Vikings. They lived and actually traded at 600 AD. Apparently, they had a great relationship prior to the invasion.
Maybe we should rename the celebration after, after the Beothics and the Vikings. They had it right.
Yeah.
Okay, Ziv. Okay, Ziv, I'm going to let you speak. It's good to have two sides of everything. Go ahead, Ziv. What'd you put in at 1:45? Ziv,
Wait,
1:45. Read to us.
I kind of changed my opinion.
Oh, you're changing your opinion, isn't that?
Because like opinions keep, changing.
Yeah, well, that's why we talk about it. So,
I do have
1:45. What did you say? Just read it. Tell us why you changed it.
I said,
1:45.
well, in that case, we should leave this to the government and the people who are experts in these issues. But my opinion has changed.
How?
Okay, so as Miss Kimberly and Mr. David said about the forget Canada Day, I would say that we should, like, across Canada, we should introduce Indigenous culture, and also because Canada is very diverse country, I think we should embrace the multiculturalism of Canada as well as Indigenous culture, like mixing them kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely
To create a new
wonderful.
identity. Basically,
Wonderful.
we should shift away from Eurocentric culture because,
Good use of the word Eurocentric.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
we have to decolonize. Yeah.
Yeah, because our neighbor, the US, they never apologized to the indigenous people, and they are very Eurocentric society in there. So there's a lot of white supremacists, and it's very dangerous. And luckily, Canada is not affected by that because we are minded and we have.
I would differ.
There is a lot of racism.
Yeah, like the Antifa.
There is KKK.
Exactly, that one as well.
They've actually found
So
KKK stuff in the county.
So just on 20 minutes from my house, over in the county, there was a lot of people that put the little shoes on the street.
Yes.
And they put the red the red dresses and the orange shirts all around the Sir John A. Macdonald, and there was a group that went over and ripped everything down and threw it in the garbage. And so I was at a not a yard sale, but an antique market only 1 mile up the road from my house. And in there, I went back in the back and they had KKK outfits.
A uniform.
For sale. And there that they found on the island over behind
Picton.
My house here. And the people that were in government and power would store these in their floorboards underneath their house. And these are actual KKK
Yes, send the Proud
outfits.
Boys up in Quebec. Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that's a bad.
I have pictures I took of the outfit, and I went online and researched it. It's exactly, these were outfits worn by the government over in Picton.
Wait, I heard that they were declared as terrorists. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I heard in the media.
So Ziv,
Yeah.
you know how people say, "Oh, well, that happens in the States and not in Canada." Now you've got proof.
And also, not just in the US as well. If like, I think we're forgetting across like the American continent. Yeah, like Argentina, they are very Eurocentric country as well, and a lot of indigenous people are oppressed. I've watched this documentary and like it's in Chile. It's like the western part of like it's a country in the southern most of the American continent, and then there has been like like news about Europeans stealing their land and building farmland in there, and then like the Mapuche people are there, the indigenous people there, they're
Yes.
protesting, and the government just ignored them, even like in the point where the police are involved and start like killing them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very sad, and there's
Yes.
a lot of protests in there about indigenous rights, but unfortunately the government is not listening to them, so it's very sad. I think it's much worse there than in Canada, because like we have a very open-minded government, I would say, but
Now
we have our
we
issues.
do to a
Yes,
certain
yes,
degree.
yeah, but in Latin
My
America
dad,
it's very sad there.
my dad always told me, he said, you watch, David. He said between the governments and the churches and the government, they're going to incriminate each other. and that's what we're seeing right now, where Justin Trudeau and people are stepping up and they're putting the blame on the church, and the church is putting the blame on the government. So,
and the RCMP.
So they're right now they're finger pointing. So I mean, they're fighting most
Amongst
of the battle.
themselves.
They're fighting amongst themselves. And my dad told me, my dad
yes.
prophesied and
Yes.
said that this was going to happen. He said, you watch and see, they're not going to get out of this thing that's coming up. And it's the good people that are going to move forward with good hearts, that are going to want to see justice prevail. And even though it's going to hurt some of what they're enjoying in life today in Canada, to really fully enjoy it and to walk guilt free and with a good conscience, we have to address this, And
that's
I'm so
the
happy.
point.
I'm so happy to be a part of this right now with you guys.
Yeah. And
we're going to take all of your comments though,
Yes.
and we're going to implement what you guys said, all your things that you've shared when we talk to the media, because they want to hear from him.
I do see a lot of your comments coming up online.
Yeah, I can't see the Snapchat so good.
Not sure.
All right, so I'm going to go to Imran. Imran, can you read to us what you said at 1:55?
So I'm not sure if someone already said this question, but my question is, what government issues did you face?
Oh, you mean like being part of the Canada 150?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they sent an audit document to us because we performed off the territory. And they wanted to know, and they printed it in the newspaper how much they paid each individual artist for Canada 150. And there was a big investigation, and they wanted to have our information. So we said, at first we said, no, that's our private business. And then they actually forced us to be able to get our records, and we had to release those documents
I was
to them.
also told that if I didn't pay, they
want income
there was
tax
a $10,000 fine for me, or imprisonment, or they were going to seize my vehicles if I didn't comply with the Canadian government when I
pay tax on his stone.
When I do a stone carving, and if I just travel off my territory
and
to
sell
it to
Canada
somebody,
soil,
and if the government doesn't get their share of what I do and my struggle to learn the stories and all these things and document this, then I go to prison, or I lose my vehicle if I don't comply with the Canadian law. So I mean, this is the things. Why would I celebrate? Like, honestly, guys, I'm struggling with this.
Oh, I am too. Now, just from a personal point of view, and then we're going to come back to Cameron, because Cameron is putting all this great stuff out there. And
Cameron's on fire.
Cameron's on fire. Like his mark is just going up, 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 up.
I think Zep too. He
Pardon?
was saying lots of
Ziv.
stuff.
Oh yeah, Ziv too. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. In the past, and I don't know if I'm going to burn it or what, but I used to wear, and I thought it was fine. I used to wear a Canada Day dress. Roots made a dress that looked like a Canadian flag. I'm ashamed to wear it now.
Yep.
I didn't know better. And Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. So I'll wear orange. And I also want to point out that Indigenous Day is next Monday. It's the 21st, right?
Yes.
Is it 21st of June? Well, we're in class that day. It's the last day before exams. So I'll wear orange. But why isn't it a holiday? Why can't we?
It shouldn't be. Is it not a holiday? It should be a national holiday.
It is not a holiday.
We get it off.
We don't.
On our territory, we get it off.
We do not.
Well, it should be.
The last day before exams.
It should be.
That's the day that should be off. So really, that would make everybody understand that it's a privilege to be here
of mourning for
in
the
this
children
country
as well.
You know, to live free. When we hear about the atrocities that go on in other parts of the world, and people are able to flee their countries and come to Canada, they should know that the people that gave a price, and they should be able to celebrate, and we should have that day where everybody gets off. So it really impacts people to say, wow, I can't wait till that day, that special day, the Indigenous Day. You know, there's ways to do it tastefully where everybody's gonna enjoy the day.
People would notice more if they were
Absolutely.
given that day off to pause.
Who just wrote that?
Somebody just said that.
Let's see. I'm going down to the bottom.
She said.
Okay, let's make sure we've read everybody's. Okay, I'm going to go back up and let's just read what's here. Cameron, can you read what you put in at 157?
Sure. I said a little bit off topic, but what do you think about the $18 billion increase of money the Canadian government is putting towards Indigenous communities? I believe it was $6 billion towards infrastructure, $2.2 billion towards ending the tragedy of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and a little bit more towards different things. Do you think that's enough? And do you think that they think money will solve the problems?
Yeah, they do.
They do think money will solve the problem, but the funny thing is the money. When we hear give, they had nothing to give.
But where are they giving it to?
See, there's $3 trillion. There's a trust fund that our people have that's in trust that the government borrows from our coffers that belongs to the Indigenous people
From the resources.
From resources and the treaties, and it's supposed to be there for Indigenous use for all. And the government has been borrowing from that account. So it's like it's horrible, you know. But to answer the question,
it's not coming out of any taxpayer dollars. That is not true. It is not being paid by the Canadian tax dollar. It is monies that were owed to Indigenous people to begin with.
Well, and let's not forget that, you know, they can talk about how much money they're spending and moving around. That's all, you know, you can make it look any way you want. But the children at your school can't drink the water.
They just till when was that? We just got our water filtration system in, like maybe 3 years ago.
And the reason why we got that is because we shut the 401 down, we shut the tracks down, we shut the waterways down. That's the only way the government knew we have to shut these Mohawks up and give them their water, because
if
they're going to cripple Canada. They're going to cripple. And when we shut down the tracks,
one day,
nothing moved for one day, no goods or services. And they said 880 million or something, that they said it, and then no transports could move, and all these things were stuck and loaded, and so it stopped the ships from unloading, and it should stop the trains from grabbing those things. So it just shows how
economic disruption
and
will
how much
equal Indigenous help for the government to see that we're sitting here crying. Our children are getting sick. Even his niece can't even have a bath in her water that's in her house. We have to have holding tanks. No other Canadian citizen has this issue.
I see trucks go by here every day with big jugs on the back, and they fill up water jugs. There's a little spout across the road from us where we see a lot of our elders come to fill up water jugs just
They
to
have
have
no
clean
water.
drinking water.
No
So
water here, unless you're closer to the non-Indigenous town. If you're closer like we are, we have clean water to drink. But if you're in the middle of the territory, forget it. You're going to have sores if you have a shower.
They shut up. They want to do things for people like me that travel a lot internationally and play concerts. They want to do because they think it's going to shut people up like me. That
we give you a carrot.
My heart's too big. I don't want the carrot and the vegetables and all the little things they hand out to try to bribe me to keep my mouth shut. Because I have friends up the road that don't have, and that makes me sad. You know, I don't want to have something over my neighbors up the road on the same territory, and that's how they divide and conquer our people. And
that's assimilation.
Back in the day, they would give candy and fruit to the natives that would tell on the other ones
that were speaking the language.
And they're called, and it's pretty common knowledge, the fruit and candy Indians that would squeal on the ones that were, you know, speaking the language.
Their language.
But the ones I'm so proud of, those ones that persevered and kept the language going and the stories going through secret.
Yeah, but you got to remember too that all those children were starving. So they were starving the children. They would not, and yes, they will find more. I'll tell you that right now. Because his dad was in Brantford in Six Nations. They already know it's there. They just have to have the research done, and the churches need to do the searches.
Yes.
Right, Sally?
Yes.
So there will be more. There'll be much more to come, and now there will be leverage.
Well, the interest, just back to, I don't want to run out of time, but I'm just skipping over what they're saying in the chat line. Ziv, I know you wanted to talk about South America, and let's not forget the Pope. The Pope we have now is from Argentina. So why won't the Pope apologize? Why won't the Pope fund these searches?
I have an answer for you.
You go first.
Okay, please tell me.
It's acknowledging guilt, and it's acknowledging the fact that it was done. If he serves an apology, then it will tie the church into this atrocity, and then there will be legal repercussions against nuns, priests, and everyone who carried out the diabolical sexual, physical, and mental abuse against those children, including murder.
And now that the bodies are here, you know, there's that quote that was at the beginning of Isque's song. They tried to bury us, but we are like seeds. That's pretty powerful.
Miss, can I say something?
Go ahead, Yvette.
It's like once they start digging up the bodies and they find any more of those children, it's gonna dig up some dirty laundry for the church. And if they were to milk that their priests and nuns were abusers and rapists, then like the church would be no more, and they would like lose all their followers
and have no more money.
Yes, and that's a good point, Yvette. It's true, and there are many Catholics who are speaking up, like myself. And I've talked to my friends. I can't go to church, and I refuse to give them any money. No way. And anyway, we're getting a little off topic, but you know, my mother is 88 years old. She's an old wise lady, and you know, I got so upset on Friday when during the school mass nobody mentioned the children, and you guys know we wrote letters about that. I was so angry. I was out pacing in the backyard, and you know, I phoned my mother later, and she said, "Well, I think the church is disintegrating. Maybe this is what it'll take." But the thing is, if the church and the government keep arguing with each other, like your father said, David, by arguing with each other, they're protecting each other. And quite frankly, I'm really at a crossroads as both a Canadian and a Catholic, because I'm ashamed
But
of
can
what.
we not also to look to see that it was a lot of the times the churches and the RCMP that were physically removing those children by gunpoint. They were the ones that physically went and rounded them up in buses and dark sedans and grabbing them at playgrounds. They wouldn't even know that their kids were taken away. It's those people that also need to be looked at. The people who physically put their hands on those children and took them.
They're the Canadian Nazis.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at a lot of pictures. You know, I love YouTube, and there's so many photographs that I've seen now of these children in trucks.
Yes.
And they look just like.
And they took them in the middle of winter with no clothes.
They look
No
just
clothing.
like the people who went to the concentration camps in the Second World War. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't know how nobody knew about it.
I have a
Because the
question.
propaganda has been so strong. Oh,
Well,
okay.
the horrible
Got a
thing.
question.
Oh, yep.
Go ahead, Cameron.
So back to what you were saying earlier, right? To raise awareness for Indigenous Day. You said to how you guys have that day off, but we don't, right?
No.
So what I said in the chat line was, what, like, if everyone was given that day off, you know, people would question, you know, why am I given this day off? You know,
To pause
then they
and
would go
think of the
home,
children.
they would go on their computer and they would be like, why don't I have school today? What day is it today, right? And it would be Indigenous Day.
Good job.
And there would be all these, you know, websites that you could read what's important about Indigenous Day, right? They would
I
get
think a
deeper
lot of you
into it.
guys had said that we should have that day off.
Cameron, thank you for bringing it back to that point. That's the most powerful thing I'm getting out of this whole thing right now, is that we do just that.
And have a pause.
And have that
Right.
pause.
For everyone to reflect.
Yeah, exactly.
Before
And
Canada Day, and then they can make a decision. Do they want to be part of something like that? And if they want to, go ahead.
And by doing this, right, you know, you might not be able to fix current generations because they're so used to certain things, but future generations in schools, right? If they start learning why they have that day off, you know, the future,
100%.
what you guys promised, everything could come, right?
Yeah, because it was great and all well to say, oh, happy Indigenous Day. Every day is an Indigenous Day for us. This is how we live. But if everybody could have one day off and be thankful and think about those poor children who gave their lives.
That's just it. So Indigenous Day would be more for you guys to celebrate, because we celebrate Indigenous Day every day just to be thankful, because at the end of the day, we have to ask forgiveness in our prayer. When we go to bed and we lay down, but just before we close our eyes, we ask forgiveness. If we forget to be thankful,
or anyone,
if we've said the wrong thing to somebody to discourage them or to not uplift them in a way that would help us all the next day, but we ask forgiveness. Creator, if I fail to be thankful for anything you've allowed me to have, touch, taste, smell, or beautify my body or my being, forgive me. And when I wake up in the morning, I hope to be able to be thankful again. So every day, this is in our prayer. So this is why every day is Indigenous Day to us. So I believe Indigenous Day would be for you guys to celebrate when your ancestors came here and we allowed this freedom and this beautiful way of life to be inherited by you, by the people, the newcomers, when they came to the land.
And another cool thing was my elementary school. I went to St. Maria Goretti for a couple of years, and they have this week designated to celebrating different cultures. They called it Culture Week. And one of the things was there were a couple of people who went up on stage and performed it's like a special dance, like a dance like they were Indigenous peoples. There was like people from the Caribbean, right? There were people from Mexico, the Philippines, Malaysia, all performing these different dances.
The big medicine wheel.
Yeah, and they were.
You need the medicine wheel in your mural to incorporate all of those cultures that you're talking about, Cameron.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me show you it. I'll go get it.
You know, and in I do teachings. I go
This is
around.
way over an hour, but we're okay. We're
It's
still.
okay.
Can they still continue?
Can you guys still continue?
We can be on here till 3:10.
Okay.
Wow.
So let's stay on here for a little while longer because I'm really enjoying this with you guys.
Me too.
It's actually making my heart feel good.
Good.
That you guys want to be a part of something cool.
There's your medicine wheel.
Did you make that?
No, this was a gift given to David from a lady who actually sewed every single sequin on this with the feathers.
Beautiful.
But there's your medicine wheel. But what we do with the medicine wheels, we would like to give it a chance to be turned around so that the red is on the top instead of the white. So we like the red there.
I'm gonna tell you. So I've traveled all over, and maybe you guys might want to get me to do this at one point. But I've traveled all over the world, and especially in North America here too. And I do a medicine wheel teaching, and we build stone medicine wheels, and we use. I use the different colors, and I describe what each color.
In a meditation garden.
In a meditation garden, I've done huge meditation gardens, but the medicine wheel we talk about, and they're carved out of stone. Everybody would get a stone to work with, and we talk because when our people do things, we put beauty and effort. And when you put effort into your prayers and effort into your thinking as you go through the day, and especially when you pray and you get out of your comfort zone, is when you get results. When people see people getting out of their comfort zone and doing things out of the norm that shows a higher being that we're willing to be very thankful for what we have, is when we get our results. So this is one of the teachings I do. And I kind of rough into the stone, and it's beautiful because the edges of this wheel and everything needs to be sanded, and we use sandpaper, and we use steel wool, and this is like cleaning the rough edges in our life. We all have rough edges to deal with every day. There's things that arise in our own lives that we have to deal with and polish and take that sharp edge off so we're not too abrasive to other people. So when I do these things in a medicine wheel, circles are very important to our people, because when we walk that path, we're always going to circle back to the beginning of our life. And we're always going to remember back when our minds were keen and what we did with our lives back in the day, you know, when we lived here and we lived there, what we left behind. If we move on and we travel around that circle, we're always going to circle back, or our minds will be brought back to the beginning, because people will always say, so where were you born? And what did you do? And how did you become who you became in your life? So when we travel this path as Indigenous people, we'll always circle back and have to deal with our past. So what we leave in our past is going to be a part of our present and future that we're going to. So we have to remember, and did I talk to you about the eagle feather the last time about this path?
Can you tell us about the path again? So you talked about the eagle, and there was another bird on the top, and how they got their song, and the bulrushes and the most beautiful song. But I don't know if you talked about the path with the eagle feather.
So when we get an eagle feather, it's one of the highest gifts, one of the most prestigious gifts an Indigenous person can receive in their life is an eagle feather. And only Indigenous people are allowed to have an eagle feather, because we use them in the ceremonies.
Or you have to be given it.
Or you have to be given a eagle feather by an Indigenous person. And we are huge at adopting people into our nation. And we do adoption ceremonies all the time where non-native people, red, yellow, black, and white, come into our nation to be adopted and to follow our customs and lore, and to know the beauty of our culture and why we do these things and travel.
Somebody actually sent a message about this. They want to know more about this feather.
So I want to tell you something very special, how things really happen in my life. And when you walk in that spirit, and you walk in beauty of creation, knowing that there's there's a being, a higher power watching over us that allowed us to be here. So when an eagle feather comes out of the eagle, did I tell you this part? There's a little blood spot. So that's likened to us when we come out of the womb of our mother. There's that umbilical cord and that blood and everything involved with that leaving the nest, the feather that left the eagle. So when that feather is given to us, or we find this, and at the very end, the bottom of the eagle feather, when it first comes out, that little blood spot, but then it's like a hazy white. It's like a creamy hazy. You can't really see. And it's blurry, just like a baby. When we first come in, before our eyes open, everything is like we can see there's something light, and we see light, but we can't see anything. Then all of a sudden we move up about an inch on the feather, and it turns bright white. And that's when our eyes first open, and we see the beauty and we see the playfulness. And at the bottom of the eagle feather, there's also all the fine hairs, and that represents us. And all around us, we see laughter, we see playful, we see fun, we see the little, when you pull a little piece up and blow it into the wind, it gets carried. And as kids, we watch the beauty of bubbles. When you blow a bubble and you see the bubble floating around in the wind, that's how the kids would look at the fuzzy off the eagle feather, because it would tickle you, and all these things were fun for a child. So as we move up the stem, we're following this path, and the stem of the eagle feather gets more narrow as we travel. Can you guys all see that?
Yep.
So as we get up here, we're in our 50s. Halfway through the feather, the elders tell us this is when we're in our 50s. And most people will hold their eagle feathers through their life, and they'll get passed on through after we leave this earth. We leave our feathers behind the people that deserve to have that feather that was held by us and how we use it. So when we get up here, we're probably in our 70s, our 80s. Some people might make it to 90s. Some people say this is our 80s. But the path narrows right down, and it gets dark. So the light turns to dark, and this is what the elders tell me, that we have a hard time seeing and remembering things, but we have to rely on all those teachings and what our parents and our aunties and uncles all put into us to travel, and these stories and the legends and all the parallels through life that we could follow, and the beauty in our stories. So once we get up here, we're wearing glasses, and we're just totally relying on instinct now, and the things that were put into our life. And they say when we fall off our path, things happen like this, and things get rough. Our path turns a little rough, and it starts getting tainted by all these different things that come at us. But when we work to bring ourselves back to one mind, I'll get Ngura, that mind that watches over, that Creator allowed us to have, we start to work it back. We start to work on our falls and our defeats, and we look at them as things and goals to achieve, where we come back to our path. And at the very tip of the eagle feather, there's a little hair, and that's called the umbilical cord to the spirit world. So when we hold those feathers up and we pray, we believe that we connect ourselves to the spirit world, because now it's reaching out towards the heavens where our ancestors are and where all those kids are now. So this is the story of the eagle feather and how we look at that. And this is the path. So every elder will tell, every nation will tell their story different about their path and how we should follow these different rules and these different values that were instilled in our people. So a lot of these kids never had those values, or the ones that actually made it out of residential school never had those things taught to them, so they couldn't pass this on. So that was the atrocities that happened to our people, was taking away the beauty of our culture and how we would put it into our youth to be able to arm them and ready to go out into the real world and to walk their path as individuals, but as Indigenous people. And that was taken away from us, and they tried to brainwash us. So for that, I say no to Canada Day. And I will follow my Indigenous path to the best of my ability. and to love and to cherish the stories that you guys share in cultural events. I love cultural events. I love to go and see everybody cooking their own food and using the ingredients from their homelands, where we have variety. It's not all one way where we're going to do it this way and you're going to do it this way. I love variety. I love the culture. I love the colors of the world. And I just want our color to be prevalent here in this society today, and that these wrongs are made right. And then we move on in beauty. And we all are able to move knowing that we're living on land that how it came about. And Thanksgiving is another day that Thanksgiving is not just about celebrating the pilgrims. It's celebrating the time that they came over starving, and we brought out turkey, and we brought out all those beautiful things that you have at Thanksgiving. Well, that was things that kept them alive. So they left the Indigenous out of Thanksgiving, where we need to put the Indigenous back in, the Sweetwater ceremonies, all those things. We celebrate the maple leaf is one of our big celebrations. We go into Longhouse and we thank the tree. Number one, we thank our mother for giving the tree the nutrients to come up and giving us that sweet water. We keep boiling that till it turns into a dessert that we put on our pancakes, and we use this for all of our different flavors. We flavor our soups and different things. So these are all really important things that you guys need to know the history of, some of the beauty that our people have cherished, for that kept and held.
Do they have other questions?
So do you guys have any other questions? I know I'm long-winded here. Kim's like, you need to let the kids talk now.
Okay, did somebody put their hand up? Because I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
had a question about before that I put in the chat line, but
Okay, go ahead, Joshua.
so I have two questions.
Yes.
The first one is, what do you think of the view of the idealistic spiritual Indigenous person?
What was what?
The
stereotype, the perfect Indian stereotype.
Yeah.
Well, there really is no perfect anybody in this world. We're
What
just.
do you mean the stereotype?
The
Like, is it on
stereotype?
TV?
The TV Indians.
No,
We read
'cause,
an article. So, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joshua.
yeah, I was just about to say that Ms. Height introduced us to an article where an author/artist introduced a negative stereotype about Indians to themselves, where they put themselves on a sort of pedestal where they have to be like a sort of way and spiritually.
Oh,
Sorry.
interesting.
Help me answer this, Kim.
I think I'm getting. Okay, let me get in here. So, some Indigenous cultures do not. Maybe they are not like to put their spirituality out there. They don't know it. They've been actually. I mean, a lot of people have been assimilated or taken to those residential schools, so a lot of them don't look at themselves as that. I guess I would have to see the article for sure, but I know that a lot of Indigenous people may not be like us. We live our way that we live because we know our traditional values, and some people do not. It's not, I mean, it's called the red path. Okay, so I know a lot of people who are Indigenous who might look the part but have not a clue on any of that spirituality.
So, yeah, and I would say to that, I guess spotlighting certain people, you have to follow their path, and you have to know a person's path that you want to be associated with, because I mean, I could go to the wrong black person or the wrong yellow person or the wrong red person and get the wrong information. So we have to be sensitive to the fact that, you know, some people get their teachings and some things have been watered down so much where people will take, like there's hippie movements out there that take a lot of our spirituality and they amalgamate that into other things.
But then you got to remember, there's how many nations in all of Canada?
Yes.
It's not just Mohawks.
I feel like I'm on the social with you guys.
You are.
We're on the View.
We're on the View.
We should be called Sally's View.
Sally's View.
The Sally Hike Show.
Yeah, the Sally Hike Show. So honestly, a lot of Mohawk people do not even you can go on our territory. Some of them even fly a flag because they were so assimilated in their thinking. And that's not their fault.
No.
But unfortunately, then there's other people who live in their walk and walk their walk and talk their talk. This is
different. A predicament we're in, is that some of the people that fly Canadian flags get condemned by the ones that were abused by the system. So this is the whole thing that's hurt our nation. The divide and conquer thing, because we'll drive through the territory. Even I can't stand seeing a native or a Canadian flag flying on our territory. I cannot stand it. Or a Union Jack. I cannot stand that. I drive by and I look with disgust, like, why?
But that's all they knew.
But that's what they knew, because they were part of the candy and fruit Indians that actually, squealed on the ones that actually spoke the language. And it was horrible.
Yeah. And then there's the Indigenous people who go to Catholic school or Catholic, they went to a Catholic, so they're Catholic. And they would throw this in the garbage. They would think that this was evil. This drum are not, to this day, there are First Nations communities that will not allow a drum into their hall or into their homes. They would throw this in the fire because they were told to condemn anything Indigenous.
They said it was evil and it was witchcraft.
Evil, witchcraft, paganism.
So have you guys, I want to tell you a little, I know this is, but I want to share, I love sharing beauty with you guys on our culture, because the ones that have taken the time, that's been beaten, went through residential school, that actually survived, and that actually taught what they know and shared from long ago, we just gobble that up, and we hold this as life lessons that we can travel with. So have any of you guys ever heard of Haduis? The false face masks, the society, the wooden masks?
Tell us about the Haduis.
So this is the beauty of what a lot of our people missed out on, is these beautiful ways that we were brought up to understand how to.
I'll go get one.
There's one right there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to grab that one.
How to walk this earth and to respect the things and things that can happen to us if we don't follow the great law that was provided for us, and all things natural.
This one's a protector's mask.
So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what our people use, and these are identities. So a long time ago, the Creator was walking through the woods, and he came upon a man sitting at a tree in the middle of the woods. And as Creator approached the man at the tree, the man at the tree looked up at the Creator and he said, "Who are you and what are you doing in my woods?" And the Creator said, "Well, I happen to be the Creator, and I made the woods, and I made the trees, and I made everything that flies above the woods, and I made the water that comes through the woods." And then Hadui jumped to his feet and he said, "You know what?" He said, "I control the way the birds fly, the way the water flows, the way the wind moves, the way the trees bow." He said, "I control all these things. I am the most powerful being." And the Creator said, "Wow." He said, "That's quite the statement you have here." And he said, "Well, it's not just a statement. This is true." And he said, "In fact, we're going to have a match," he said, "to see who is powerful and who has powers." And the Creator says, "Well, if you have to prove yourself, then," he says, "Well, I'm not just going to prove myself. You're going to prove yourself too. So let's go to the edge of the woods." And there was a valley overlooking this valley to the next mountain. And Hadui said to Creator, "Now the one that can make that mountain move the closest to where we stand will be the true ruler and the true creator." And Hadui said, "I'll go first." So he looked over at the mountain and he started to sing, and he concentrated, and he made the mountain come over about an inch. And the creator looked at the Hadui and he said, wow. He said that you do have power. He and the Hadui got all up and proud of himself that he could show off his power. And he said, now you show me what you have. And the creator gently looked at Hadui and said, don't turn around. And Hadui turned around to look at the mountain. Bam! Hit him right in the face. And it caused so much pain in his face that his face started to twist. It busted his nose and his mouth went down and it distorted Hadui, the most beautiful being. And the creator said to Hadui, he said, you know, he said, I'm sorry that I had to do this and teach you this lesson. He said, but I see that you have powers and they can be used for the good of your people. But you're always going to look like this in remembrance of me. And you're going to be able to be used, but you're going to be used in a way that is going to bring understanding to who we are as a people and love. And you're going to be able to heal. This mask here is a protector. And we have whistleblowers, we have broken noses, we have funnel mouths. And the kids get these identities in life and they're carved off of a tree, a live tree. And then we take them in to ceremony and we use them for the benefit and the betterment of our people and our walk. And these things help us in life. When somebody's sick, we come together and we use the natural medicines that the creators allow us to have. We know where to get them. And these are all the things that were taught to us and that we're still learning today. And that residential school couldn't take from us because there was people that survived this. And this is the beauty that we need to hold on to. And you guys need to know that the stuff that was taken away from us was so valuable to get us through our life. And I was asked to go into, I've been asked to take a position at the penitentiary. And they asked if I would be a resident elder there and to talk with the Indigenous, because there's more Indigenous people incarcerated in North America than any other race in the country. Because why? Because they didn't have that beautiful upbringing and these beautiful stories to follow, and the parents to be able to coddle them at night and to tell them these stories and to tell them about the stars and the moons and the planets and things and how we admire them and how majestic they are to us in our walk. So we never had those things. So when they said, could I do it? And I said, well, I don't know. They said, well, we're going to have a panel of judges to call you up. So there was 8 people that questioned me for over an hour and a half to see if I would be able to take this job. And at the end of it, they all called back and unanimously they said they thought that I should be there as an elder. And I finally thought about it, and I thought I have so much compassion for people that are hurting that I decided to step away from the job, even though they were willing to pay me a lot of money. I had to step back because I think I would wear myself thin in there, because I think I would spend probably days with one inmate. And I thought, you know what? There's many things I can do traveling out and playing my music and carving for the museums and getting things out there so more crowds of people can see. We can get the stories out there through the symbols of our history and our culture, because it's very important for everybody to know that we're not just street names and naming lakes and streams after us and roads and cars,
helicopters,
and helicopters. And even Geronimo, they say the greatest name that they could figure out to use was Geronimo, because even when the lumberjack would go into the woods and he'd chop the tree down, they'd holler Geronimo as the tree was falling. When the soldiers would jump out of the helicopters, they'd holler Geronimo. Because why? Because that was a powerful name. And Geronimo was a warrior that was forced away from his people, and the government took away his land and forced him on land that they couldn't grow vegetables on, and they didn't have good water. And he fought. He had 28 people left, warriors that traveled with him to protect his rights.
And your
And
dad met his son.
my dad met his son. I have a picture of my dad with Geronimo's son. My dad was taken into one of the caves. I hope you guys are enjoying, because I mean, I've been learning so much of this history of our people through the elders, and I choose the elders. You know, I say, when you find the old man with wrinkled skin and long white hair, I said, be careful. I said, because the long white hair and wrinkles can come from being foolish and silly, or being a residential school survivor. And a lot of people, you know, they get fooled by that thing. So we have to watch people. We have to watch the prime minister. We have to watch people that are walking that path. And you have to choose if you want to follow those people and be a part of their wisdom when they start speaking for us or for you. You know, so we have to.
So David has to walk his walk.
Absolutely.
He doesn't just say, "Oh, I'm David Maracle," and be able to talk to the children, and then open a cigarette shop. Or
it's hard.
It doesn't
you know,
work that way.
It's very hard when you choose this path in your life to do good. It's hard to get off that path, because you can't just go out and live that funny, silly life you want to live, because you know, it's people are watching, because all of a sudden you become somebody held with that wisdom and that understanding that people I'm allowed to have, and people are sitting there waiting to tell me these things because they know I'm going to take it and share this in a good way.
Someone has a question about the mask.
The mask. Okay, go ahead about the mask.
Can I see the mask again?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. So I noticed that it looks like the Oni mask in a Japanese culture.
Just a sec. I'm just got to decline. We've got somebody else trying to call through.
Okay. So yeah, like there's like similarities with the Oni mask in Japanese culture, which is colored red, and also I noticed that there's a lot of similarities with your culture towards nature, because there's a religion in Japan that is called Shintoism. Like everything is like sacred, like you know, like nature is sacred, like
yes,
every
plants, bees, trees.
Yeah, like
insects,
I find
same.
Yeah, similarities between
absolutely
culture.
Absolutely.
Like it's really similar.
It's very possible that it's linked.
That's why when I travel to another country, I want to learn their culture, and I don't care about the land. I want to first know the people and how beautiful they are and what they practice, and I want to abide by their rules and regulations when I'm in their country, because I'm a guest. Just as the people came here, they were guests here, and you know, and they were supposed to just live in harmony with nature, and we all respond together to the beauty, right?
Yeah.
So I have many masks around my house and that are used for different things.
They're all different colors too. This one's red, but we have one that is brown. We have there was even a white one. I've seen.
I'm just
all
gonna
different
hold. I'm just gonna show you, just because I think you guys need to see. There's a couple more. Can you see them?
Careful you don't.
Yeah, it's very similar to Japanese.
Yeah, we see them.
And there's another one.
Yeah, it looks like it's very similar to Oni mask.
See, and symbolically, again,
What does it mean though?
Symbolically, again, I'm going to tell you again that we put effort, and we actually, there's ceremonies where we feed the mass. We go through the time we make the corn, we make the cornmeal, we give them their different medicines. We put the sunflower oil on the wood and everything. So that goes when we're praying, and we put our thoughts, and then we travel them around to other territories, and they pray over our mass, and we bring them back. This is the beauty of our culture and the beauty of who we are as a people, that we just love it so much to be able, because then we gather together and everybody, we feast together, we feast our mass, and then we come and we all have stories of how we used our abilities to heal and to enjoy watching people come together and unify and unifying themselves into the beauty of our land and our culture and our medicine and our mother, the earth. You know, it's like I get so excited when I'm able to talk about these things with you guys, because I want you to see the beauty in our people, not just let's celebrate Indigenous Day because it was dirt done. I want you to know that we're a people that really need to be celebrated because this country belongs to the Indigenous people.
So
Agreed.
Is there time? I know we've only got, okay, it's about 10 to 3 now. We don't have a lot of time left, but is there time to tell us the peacemaker story with the symbol of the tree of peace in the center? Can you, or would it take too long?
You know what? My voice is going. Kim's gonna help out. We'll both tell it here for you.
Okay.
Okay, so
they
what
can
I
connect it to the flag. Yeah, there you go.
Here is the flag. This is the Haudenosaunee. This is the Guyana Regoa, the great tree of peace, and the knowledge of that great tree of peace. This was all came together with Daganawida. He was born down the road from our property in the water, and he was of Huron descent, but he was adopted by the Mohawks, and he had another man, Hiawatha. You guys can all look this up on Google. It is out there. But he was from here, this beautiful territory, the Peacemaker. And why he's called a Peacemaker is because he had all the 6 nations that were warring against each other. So I do it this way. So it's supposed to go this way. So Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga is the tree of peace. Their Onondaga nation is New York. Then there is the Cayuga. Then there is Tuscarora. No, Seneca is next. And then the Tuscarora at the end. They were the last ones to sign on under that tree of peace. He was Tadadaho. He had the snakes in his hair. He was very evil, but when he saw Peacemaker's reflection, the snakes came right out of his hair. Because the Daganawida was so full of love. He was that peacemaker. And so all those 6 nations all came together under the great roots, the great tree of peace, and the roots that spread out. The roots spread out to all directions here. So anyone who wanted to abide by the Haudenosaunee and the great tree of peace could sit under that tree with all of our people together. And they put all of their warring war clubs underneath the tree.
So what we were told that our weapons all went under the tree, and the roots of the tree wrapped around our weapons and pulled them down. So this would make it hard for our people to go back to get their weapons to ever use them again. So this is why
against each other.
So this is why our people wanted to love and respect one another, and they just allowed things to happen and allowed the tree to pull the roots to pull it down further. So if ever we had to go to war, it would take a lot of effort to find our weapons again.
Or we band together as a nation. So we're the Mohawks are the one part of the nation, but we have brothers and sisters all across this nation, all across Canada and into the US. So if anyone were to come against the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, we'd all band together as brothers and sisters and stand up for one another. So that
there is no borders for us.
So that's why they said that those arrows on our mural, it showed you never saw the Peacemaker's face, but apparently he was amazing. He had white hair on one side and black hair on the other side, and he had 2 rows of teeth. That's why he had to have someone to help talk for him. So on our mural, on our property, you see the back of this beautiful Indigenous man in a canoe with the 2 wool wampum and a stone canoe made out of a white stone. And he brought that message of peace to the people, and he showed in his hand these 6 arrows, because he showed that with 6 arrows you cannot break that bond. If you only have 1 arrow, it can be broken, but if you have the 6 together and bonded together, you cannot break that. And that is what that means. And that's that quahog shell, the purple and the white from the quahog shell that was used. And those, you can look those up. You guys are really probably experts now on Google. So if you Google anything about Daganawida, we don't even say his name. We just call him the Great Peacemaker. but I'm saying it today, Daganawida, he was so powerful to bring that message of peace and the great tree of peace and the Guyana Ragoa, which is the great law that we're to live by, which was patterned the
Constitution of the United States was patterned after that.
of the United States of America was patterned after the events that unfolded even behind our home.
Yes, on Robbie Robertson.
Yes, so that quickly, in a nutshell, is that beautiful flag that you see. The other flag that you see also, by the way, the Mohawk warrior flag, the red and the red and that was done by, his name was Garon Louis Hall, Garon Yukdaje too, right? Louis Hall, and he was out of Ganawage, and he did that beautiful Mohawk warrior flag because it showed it's supposed to be
unity flag.
It was supposed to be a unity flag to show unity. Louis Hall.
Yep. Louis Hall Mohawk warrior flag. Yep.
So if you guys want to do some independent information digging, it is literally all out there. Even the Mohawk language is now on the internet. It is beautiful language. So we always like to, he always says, Gonalukwa, I give you that love medicine, It means so much more than just love. It's not, I love you. It's like, I want to envelop you in the medicine of love and that we want to share that with you. It's just like incredible.
So we've collected, Kim and I.
She can't be on much longer.
Kim and I, we've collected so many things along the way in our path that refers to our people. And Kim and I could have started. My brother did have a museum going, and he collected all these things that people would use. They put us on flour and butter, and they even
cultural appropriation. Look that up.
They even put. Honestly, I have something that's so disgusting. I hate to even talk about it, but they even printed toilet paper with Native people on it, and I have that in my house.
Mm-hmm. So you know what I also noticed too is that this has been such a heavy conversation too, because all of the atrocities just come flowing out. With sharing. And so we should end it with a beautiful song to uplift and leave on a positive note with all of the beautiful children and everyone that's listening. Yay! Let's do a beautiful song.
Let's
do
that one that we do, Bear Fox.
No, I want you to do a Longhouse one. Longhouse. We're gonna do a Longhouse song. Where's your? Oh, let me get the Mohawk water drum.
There's no water in it.
No. Oh no.
There's another story I could talk to you guys about our water drum. It's amazing and what that stands for. But we'll save that for another day.
We're gonna have to do some more, Sally. Do you guys enjoy this, and would you actually consider doing another workshop with us down the road?
Well,
absolutely.
They all want to. The thing is,
yes, awesome.
The thing is, we have exams next week. We're done.
But we can always set up some curriculum for the next year, even.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right on.
So we got to make some noise and uplift our
spirits. Is that a happy
spirits.
face or a sad face?
Let me get some more shakers. Holy moly. Let me get my beautiful shakers here for you guys.
I got a feeling one day we're gonna come into your school and we're gonna hand
or they
out
can
some
come to our
instruments.
How about
or
they
you
come
guys
to our
do a
house?
bus trip down to our territory?
Yeah, we can come sit on the land and feel the peacemaker.
Oh, that would be great.
Yep.
Well, I get
be allowed to
this
do that with
weekend.
masks.
I'm going to take lots of pictures this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, Hunja?
Yeah. You ready? Here we go.
Wait a minute. Which one? Mother Earth?
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking of that.
That's the one I want to do.
Well, you start it then.
I can't remember.
Woo-wee.
Do your stop, your stop.
Hey ya, way hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, yo, hey ya, yo, on way, oh way, on way, oh way, on way, oh way, on way, oh way, hamba di moda, hamba, sing along, hamba di moda. Sing along, hamba di moda, hamba hasha. Away on it, way on it, way on it, way on it. Hamba di moda, hamba di moda, hamba di moda, hamba di moda. Way ya, way ya, way ya, way ya, way ya. Yo, way ya, yo, on way, oh way, on way, oh way, on way, oh way, on way, oh way. Hamba di moda, hamba di moda, hamba di moda, hamba di moda. Way ya, way ya,
Yo!
Now that was called the Unity Stomp Dance. We would have to do that in a big circle, and you guys would all have to sing, and you would all have to follow us all the way around on our property. And it gets everybody going and all together as one.
Love it. I'm into it.
It's been awesome time, guys.
Oh, it's been great. Thank you so much.
We would love to be invited to come and do start out your mural and smudge for you when you're ready.
Yes, and we want you to do that. And that's my vision of this. I really want this to be an ongoing relationship. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure. So we should do a formal, on behalf of all of the students at St. Joan of Arc, we'd like to thank you for coming. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you in person. I get to see you on Friday.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I'm gonna cook some traditional food, and we'll have some of my food. I'm actually doing a menu for one of the most prestigious cooking schools in Ontario. Here have called me and asked me if
Look up the Waring House. Cookery school.
If I would do a statue for them depicting the peacemaker, and I'm also doing a traditional menu for their restaurant, and I'm also going to be performing in their sacred garden that they want to put up to honor Indigenous people. So these people are not just doing lip service. They're actually going out and they're going to transform part of their business into admiring the past and the present and the future of working together with Indigenous people.
We'll get a red shirt or an orange shirt out there too for the children.
Perfect. And when will that start? When will you start at the Waring House?
Soon. So they just said we just had a meeting last week, and they said we definitely want to move forward with the sculpture, and we want to discuss the playing in their restaurant, playing out in the garden. So they really want to move forward, and they knew I love to cook, and I cook a lot of Indigenous cuisine, and I know a lot about certain things that we can cook to really enlighten people of our food, that because when we eat our food, we have to really watch, because Indigenous people are the highest rate of diabetes in North America, like every other house on my territory, and it's because of the things that we ingest that come from all over.
That'll be another workshop, Sally.
Well, we do have, there is a class at our school that does cooking. I think you've got so much to offer.
So
And
I
when I
just
was
want to acknowledge all of the students for just being out there and listening. And
Absolutely.
And I wish we could see your faces. It's
well, why don't you ask them to show their faces?
I'd love to see.
Oh, let's
their
see
faces.
some faces. I want to see Cameron's face.
I want to see Ziv.
Oh, there's Ziv.
Joshine, Denise. Who else? I can only, there's like 19 of you guys out there.
I know, and they're not sure. Do you know?
Oh, there you go. Hey,
there we
Cameron.
go. Finally, we can see Cameron. Is Cameron the only one? Cameron's the, you know, I tried.
Hi, Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
Hi. Oh, there's Yvette. Hi, everybody.
So when I there we go. There's Denise. Yes, good. Woohoo! Jesse.
Oh, such beautiful colors.
Oh, they're wonderful. You guys, you know, it's so rare that I get to see your faces. When I finally get to meet you at the school, you're gonna have I'll have to go by your voices because
you know what? Our school here on the territory, they have to be present. Even their face have to be present on our territory, for our aviation school. They have to be, because it means that you are there, that your spirit is there, that you're showing that you're there. And even though we couldn't see your faces when you guys are talking, I could feel it.
Yeah, I can
and
too.
I really want to tell you guys, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share with you.
So I know that Ziv wanted to do the thank you. So Ziv, I don't have anything on the screen. Do you want to just do a thank you to Kimberly and to David on behalf of St. Joan of Arc Academy? Go ahead, Ziv.
Absolutely. Okay, Miss, I'm off script right now, so I'm just saying it in the top of my head. So, in behalf of St. Joan Arc Academy, we thank you for the wisdom that you gave us and for the lessons that you shared with us, especially with the storytelling and also with the social injustices that is happening right now in Canada. We would love to appreciate your effort to be here with us, your time and dedication to share your ideas with us young people in St. Joan of Arc. With our deepest gratitude. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Kimberly, David and Kimberly, and we hope to meet you and talk to you anytime soon if we have free time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ziv. So I guess we have to say goodbye. How do we say good? Well, we don't say goodbye. Teach us some Mohawk words.
Ona giwahi.
Ona digwahi.
No, ona.
Ona.
Gi. Wahi.
Wahi.
Yeah. Ona giwahi.
Ona giwahi.
Till we see you again.
Ona giwahi. Well, I want to hear all the students say it. So once you've said till we see you again, then you are dismissed. Oh, Twit was on camera now. Hi, Twit. Okay, everybody say it together. Can you say it till we see you again? Onagiwahi. Did I remember it right?
Onagiwahi.
Onagiwahi. But I just want to say, you know that name Twit in my language. That's my name.
Dawit.
Dawit that's how you pronounce that in our language.
Dawit.
David. Apparently.
Spelling of my name in Mohawk.
Dawit.
Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay, now I've recorded this class, so I will send you the recording and I will send you the transcript, and any students who weren't able to attend, they can all watch this.
We want to say Onagiwahi and Gonalunkwa. Love medicine.
Okay, bye for now.
Ona.
Onagiwahi. Okay, Onagiwahi. And I will stay on if anybody has any questions.
Okay.
I will stay here.
Bye.
Bye, guys. I mean, Onagiwahi.
Only bye. We'll see you soon.
Bye, Miss. Bye.
Yes.
Bye, both of you. Bye, Miss.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Be sure to post this.
I will.
Bye.
Bye. Are you still there, Nathaniel? Okay, so I am going to close this up. Let's see, Nathaniel. Oh, I'm wearing my feather earrings.